Alright, I've been bombarded with comments as to when the next Siege Mailbox episode is, and in your defense, it has been 3 weeks, so welcome back to the Siege Mailbox. This is a video series where you, the viewer, comment your Siege-related questions and topic discussions, and there's a chance they'll appear in the next video. I don't like doing long intros, so make sure you hit that like button, sub if you haven't already, because I can see how many of you are subbed, and make sure to comment your questions. There's no such thing as a silly one. Okay, so this first one is referring to a video which Core Ross posted about the idea of having a cosmetic button. Now, this has been something which has been thrown around the community for a while now, and not just in Siege, but in games like COD and Battlefield, and pretty much any online game which has wacky skins which aren't really relevant to the game's true theme. So many people always have the concept of, you know, well, how about we make it, if people want to buy these wacky skins, they still can, but for those of us who want that more authentic feeling, we have an option to turn those skins off and we get to see normal skins. And I'm going to give my answer from two different perspectives here. My personal one and then a realistic one. My personal answer would be, yeah, I think that'd be a really cool thing. I think if people want that true, authentic feeling of the skins they are seeing and only want to see tactical skins, I see no issue with that. I think that makes a lot of sense. I think at the end of the day, it does take away from the core identity of games, but I also understand why these skins get made. But I would like the idea of a cosmetic button. Now for the realistic answer. This will never happen in any game. This would tank the cosmetic market and microtransactions for Siege, COD, Battlefield, Valorant, etc. No developer in their right mind is ever going to have a cosmetic button because many people buy these skins, pay a lot of money for expensive skins to flex on other players, to show it off to other players. Whether you think that's cringe or not, that's regardless of the point, but people do buy skins to show them off. Half the time when people buy skins, it isn't for themselves, it's to show the other person, hey, look at my skin. Like a peacock. If you add an option which allows people to turn those skins off and basically be hidden, then people are just going to stop buying those skins. So I don't want to really drag this one on because that's simply the point of it. My answer is yes, I would like this option. My realistic answer is this will never happen and no developer in their right mind would do this. Lieutenant Goose says, I think Ubisoft should remove map banning altogether. It's sad to say that I've probably only ever played Lair since its release, probably 10 times. I still don't have any idea how to play the map and feel useless whenever it's played. He also goes on to talk about more operator-based stuff, but we're going to focus on the first part of this one, talking about map bans, because this is something I've been very vocal about. Now, I'm not opposed to the existence of a map picking banning system in ranked, but I don't like the current system we have in place. Now, I think you bringing up Lair is a good point because Lair is a very interesting map when you look at it statistically. Myself, I've been a big fan of this map ever since the test server. It's currently the most played map in Pro League right now, and I understand Pro League doesn't represent the whole game, but it's definitely not the worst map in the game if it's been played at the highest point of play. And I have seen the perception of it in ranked change over time as well. Same thing happened with Nighthaven Labs. People acted like that was the worst map ever in the game. Now the average player will tell you it's probably the best map in the game. And listen, the design of Lair is very in-depth. It accommodates strategic play. It fits Rainbow Six Siege very well. However, the average player is a solo queue player who doesn't give any callouts. So, without meaning this in a bad way, of course you're not going to be very good at Lair because you're not playing Siege the way it's truly meant to be played at its full potential. And again, that isn't to diss solo players. That isn't to say, you're not playing the game, I want you to play it. But there does have to be a bit of an understanding here that it's less of the map being badly designed and more so just you're not fitting its playstyle. But yeah, back to the main topic of map bans themselves. I came from an era of Siege where map bans didn't exist. A lot of the maps also weren't reworked, so they were in different states. For example, the pre-rework version of Chalet, I really hated this map. I just didn't like how it flowed. I didn't like how everything ended up, especially with Trophy. You would always kind of be stuck in a corner behind the bomb chassis just trying to hold a window push. I just didn't like it. I just wasn't a fan. But I couldn't ban it, and there was no like match canceling and stuff like that. So either I just had to accept that I was going to lose it, or I had to improve as a player and learn it. And I definitely think we lost that aspect of the game when we got map bans. That the average player, and again, don't take this in a personal insult way, but the average Siege player in 2025 is a lot worse than the average Siege player was back in 2017. And I think there's a number of aspects which have attributed to that, and I do think that the current map ban system has made the average ranked player a lot worse at maps, and I truly think that. I mean, back in my day, we had Tower and Fortress in ranked, and people would be given callouts and coordinating, even though there was a agreed, consensus in the community. The Tower was a bad map. It just didn't work in the game. Everyone agreed the Tower was a bad map. We still had to play it, and we still learned the map, and we would still give callouts because, well, one of us has to win here, and I'm not going to let the enemy win. So it definitely made the average player more skillful. So I think, at least in this current point in time, I would like less of a map banning system and more of a map picking system. I guess the best way I can compare this is to how it works in Mario Kart. Some people said that this works like this in Overwatch 2, but I've not played Overwatch 2. But it basically you get the same 5 maps on the screen appearing like you currently do, but instead of each team picking one map to ban and then it being random with the remaining 3, each player picks one map to favor. So it isn't a team-based thing. Every single player in the game has their own vote for what map they want to see, and if you vote for that map on this screen, it will boost the chances of the game picking it. However, it doesn't rule out you getting one of the other maps. So instead of people banning, I don't know, let's say Lair or Nighthaven Labs, they'll boost their vote for Clubhouse, and then, Clubhouse has more of a chance of getting picked in this screen. However, there's still a chance that the other map will get played. I think this is a good compromise for giving the player still a choice of what map they would prefer to play, but also allowing us and the other people like myself who aren't really a big fan of pick and ban to still have the chance of getting the maps we want to see played. I think that would be a much better system, because we are definitely in an era of Rainbow Six Siege where it's ban it rather than learn it, and I think the average player has suffered because of that. For better or for worse, I know the layout of Fortress and Tower like the back of my hand, because it was learn it or lose it, and we lost that aspect of the game, and I kind of missed that. I definitely do think that it ruined a sort of competitive aspect and learning curve that this game once had. I've received this one and a few other ones over the past few videos about a Villa rework, and this is something that I have talked about a few times and given my opinion on it, and it sort of came back to the forefront recently with the release of Villa in Rainbow Six Mobile. And if you didn't see my videos I made on that, one of the major things about this version of Villa on Rainbow Six Mobile is the fact that there is no basement. They just completely removed the basement itself. And for a while, and honestly for like over a year, I've gave my opinion on what they should do with Villa. I've claimed that the basement, although it's good for like attacking kitchen, and I don't think there shouldn't be a basement like there is in mobile, I definitely think there should still be a basement in Villa, but it definitely needs to be changed and turned into a viable bomb site. I think Villa is one of those maps where it's like almost good. Like, it was good when it came out, it didn't really age well with a lot of the meta and how the game is played now, and it definitely does need a bit of a change in my opinion. It's one of my least favorite maps in the ranked pool. But easily one of the weakest aspects of the map itself is the basement. It serves no other purpose than deep lurking and allowing for a pinch on a kitchen attack, but there's no bomb site down there in the bomb, which is the primary mode of Rainbow Six Siege. If I'm not wrong, there is still a secure the area and hostage site down there, but imagine, right? Imagine we still had a basement, but it was just better. That's what I'm saying here. And I definitely think that would bring a lot more life into Villa as a map. Look at maps like Oregon and Nighthaven Labs. Their basement bomb sites are regarded as very good sites. If Villa could get just a basement rework, maybe add some soft floors above, maybe move some hatches, and not really touch much of the map other than that. I mean, maybe you can move a few things around upstairs, maybe like change how 90 works or something like that. But for the most part, keep the map about 85% the same, but change the basement, maybe change some push points for the attackers from spawn, and there you go. That breathes new life into Villa. This person gave their opinion on how they should do it. I'm not really going to give much of an opinion on how I would rework it. I'd probably have to sit down and dedicate its own video because I'm not a map designer. I'm not going to tell you what would be viable or not. But yeah, I would definitely like to see some changes come to the basement of Villa. I don't want to see the basement removed like what was done in Rainbow Six Mobile, but I definitely think that could be a nice little map buff. I wouldn't even call it a rework. I'd call it a map buff to go alongside its remaster, or modernization, shall I say, when we finally get that. So this one by Gobinator is actually really interesting when I started to read it and process what they were saying. So I'm gonna have to give a bit of explanation about a previous episode because this is following on from that. But we had a discussion of maybe either making the prep phase longer or having a boost in the prep phase where all ops would be a 3-speed, and this would help with operators such as Maestro and Capcan and Mute to set up site, and then when the prep phase ends, they go back to their default current stats, and it's just to make the prep phase a lot easier to play and go faster and allow these ops to set up, because I definitely have issues with ops like even Denari, the latest one, where the prep phase is over and I've still not finished setting up my gadget. And the fact that he's got a slug shotgun, a lot of people expect you to make rotates as well, and it's not great for making rotates. That's not what its primary job is. So we proposed two methods: either make the prep phase longer, or the one I preferred was just speed up operators in the prep phase, make reinforcing faster in the prep phase, and then dropping all of that when the match actually starts in the action phase. But Gobinator has came at this from a different perspective, saying, what if each operator had a setup phase multiplier? And for heavy setup operators like Capcan, Maestro, Denari, they would add a set amount of time to the prep phase based on which operator you choose. Operators like Doc, for example, wouldn't add any prep phase time because he has minimal things to set up. So what they're saying here is if you have minimal setup operators, the prep phase is as normal. But if you are then to bring in an operator like Mute, for example, this would add, I don't know, 5 or 10 seconds to the prep phase, allowing you guys to have more time to set up. It's based on the operators you pick and not just a core setup. And I think this is actually a really good idea. However, I do feel like you are now adding a level of, I guess, balancing to an operator, which I guess could be exploited, because if you want a longer prep phase, you may then start picking ops on that rather than other attributes. I just feel like this would be a system that, to an extent that I may not even realize, could be exploited. However, if it can be refined and I guess exploit proof, then I think this is a really good idea. But it also does suffer the same effect which the other idea of making the prep phase longer has, is that you're just making the game longer, which isn't really something you want to do. I think your idea is definitely really good. I just think at the end of the day, the best one is still just speeding up operators in the prep phase, because it keeps the match timer the exact same, but it is eliminating this issue that a lot of these operators have. But then I guess you could also argue, well, look at Denari. He is a 3-speed, yet his gadget still takes a long time to set up. So your point then comes into call again. It's definitely a debate which doesn't have a definitive answer, but I do think these discussions should be had, and I definitely think that Ubisoft should be thinking about something like this, because the prep phase could be a bit better for some operators. This next one is by Captivate, and they say, what if they tweaked Fuze's gadget and made it a launcher instead? Like Cabana, where she launches her pellets at a surface and then has to click it again to activate them. I feel like giving this range option to Fuze's gadget will open up his playstyle a bit. So originally when I read this, I thought you were saying like make it a grenade launcher, but I understand now you're saying like you are deploying the actual cluster charge deployer at range, and then it's still going to fuse through walls and floors like it currently does. And yeah, I mean, I think that's a fun idea. I think Fuze is in a good spot. He's probably one of my favorite attackers in the game. Some people like Pengu, who, this isn't a diss to Pengu, I'm friends with Pengu, he's a great guy, I've met him about 1,000,000 times at this point. But he like thinks that like ops like Fuze are just like completely useless, and I so disagree. Like, I think Fuze is one of the best attackers in the game. Like, we are, you know, there's so much utility on defense. One Fuze charge can just clean an entire room. And I'm not saying that this is how he specifically thinks, but there's a lot of people who think that Fuze is only for killing, whereas he's pretty much completely the opposite of that. He is for utility destruction and operator area displacement. Fuze himself shouldn't necessarily be a killing machine. So you're proposing the idea of just giving him the ability to then shoot his cluster charge from a launcher onto a wall like Hibana. I think that'd be pretty cool. I don't think that would necessarily warrant a full operator remaster. If this is something they could do as more minor content, I'd like it, because yeah, I mean, maybe they would pass this off as a remaster. I don't think that's substantial enough. But as someone who loves Fuze, I'd like to see more of this come to him. I think Fuze is an absolutely incredible operator, and yeah, I like that. That's a fun idea. This next one is by Dr. Smiles, and they say, people talking about the Recruit remaster as of UB ruined everything. I never played Recruit seriously, but now I do. I have strats set for both and I love it. Stop the Recruit hate. So let me give my full opinion on the Recruit remaster that we got in Year 9. In retrospect, Striker and Sentry are brilliant operators in the game. I see them constantly played in top champion ranked, which is where I play, and even in casual and pretty much every walk of this game, I see Striker and Sentry being played. Was their remaster a bad thing? No. Was the season they launched in with that remaster pretty lame because that was kind of what we got? Yes, and it didn't deviate that far from the original Recruits in a sense. Now, prior to this remaster, Recruits didn't exist in ranked, they only existed in quick match, and they were kind of used as meme operators to do like 5-man rushes. I think people are rightfully sad that that thing isn't there anymore, but also that Recruits are in a much better position. I wouldn't be against allowing 5 strikers and 5 sentries in quick match. I think keeping it to one of each of these operators in ranked is fair for balancing, but bring back the 5 of them in quick match. Let them do their 5-man recruit rushes. I think that's perfectly fine and a nice middle ground. So yeah, I think honestly a lot of people are a bit blinded by that nostalgia that they can't do their recruit 5-man thing anymore, which is fine. I think that's a fair complaint. I think that should come back. But I think then when you look past that and put that aside, we can then all agree that Striker and Sentry are in a really good state in this game. And in retrospect, yes, their remaster was a good thing. It was just a bit of a shame that the season they launched under sucked, and it caused that to have a bit of a sour taste in our mouths, shall I say. So yeah, I think that's kind of my take on the whole Recruit thing, and I understand your side, and I agree with you. I think Striker and Sentry are brilliant, and I didn't use the Recruits before that, but I can also see the other side who are a bit sad that the whole meme value and the fun casual side left. So I think that can still come back, and I think there's an easy middle ground. And overall, Striker and Sentry are brilliant additions to Rainbow Six Siege. So I understand both sides. So that is going to do it for this episode of the Siege Mailbox. Can I ask one thing? If you are going to ask a question, stop asking about Nook's silent step, because we've answered that one about 4 times now, and I am 100% in agree. I think everyone in the community agrees that Nook needs her silent step back. So if you are going to ask a question, maybe do a different one, because I'm probably not going to answer that one because I think everyone's sick of hearing about it, which also should mean that Ubisoft, hurry up and give her a silent step back. If everyone's tired of talking about it, maybe we should do it, but they have changed their philosophy, so hopefully that is one of the buffs that comes soon. So be sure to let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Drop a like on this video if you did enjoy. Subscribe if you're new. To catch you all in the next video. I love you all. Stay safe. Have a good one.